In this video, we're going to cover the overview of how to assign tasks to operators. And also, as you can see on the right, I have a little mock-up of how it would look for the operator themselves with respect to when they're receiving assignments. So first things first, we'll do a general overview, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty stuff. So as somebody who's working as a production planner, or if you're the one responsible for the schedule, you're going to be mostly operating here on the make screen. And the first thing you would do is set up your schedule for that week ahead or month or whatever it is that you're doing your schedule for, and start to organize your tasks for your operation floor team. You can set your priorities based on material in stock or by the delivery deadlines if you're a make-to-order company. Also production deadlines too. If there's any sort of deviations, you can make adjustments on the fly as needed. Now, inside of every manufacturing order, you're going to find the list of ingredients plus the operations down here below. The operations is where you're actually doing your task assignments. And here you'll find the operation name, the resource, and also operator list. So on this account, we have 4 operators. And what I can do is inside of the manufacturing order, I can assign each of those tasks individually to an operator. Now, what does it mean when I assign a task to an operator, especially if the task hasn't been completed yet? It basically means that it becomes visible to that operator. So in this particular case, if you look off to the right, I've assigned this to Mark. And Mark can see the tasks that he has to do in the order in which they need to be done. If you need to assign multiple tasks, then the order of those tasks will appear based on the rank of the manufacturing order. So I'll give you another example as well. Let's say we take a look at a manufacturing order that is in a different position on the queue. Let's say manufacturing order number 6. This is in the second position. So if I take one of these existing tasks and I assign it to an operator, so let's say to Mark again, it will appear here on the right-hand side once more. And it will also appear in the correct order that it has to be performed. So anytime you would have a situation where you have to change the rank of a manufacturing order, for example, this manufacturing order number 6 would become highest priority, it will appear on the top. If it becomes a secondary priority, then actually SO2 here on top will appear as a task on the top. So the rank of the task is also relative to not just the order of operations that they're assigned for that person, but also the priority in the manufacturing queue. So for your entire schedule for the operations that haven't been started yet, the rank of those manufacturing orders will change, but it will also change the tasks that are assigned to them as well. Now, if you're working with the schedule, but kind of looking at it from a different perspective, we also have the task list. So the task list is everything that's rolled up here. And so let's get into the details of what the task list view looks like and what it is that you can find in this location. Firstly, it's broken down by resources, and it has an expandable and collapsible menu, which I find quite useful to show from this perspective here. We have table saw. We have the total number of units that are going to go through there. We also have the planned time associated with them as well. Now, when it's expanded out, it will show you a list of the tasks that are assigned at the table saw location. And this list of tasks are based on the rank in the manufacturing queue. So manufacturing order number 6, MO5, MO2. If you look on the queue, you'll see MO6, MO5, MO2 in the exact same order on the tasks list for that resource. Now here, you'll have the manufacturing order deadline, and the manufacturing order deadline is not the task deadline. It's strictly the whole entire product made in that manufacturing order's deadline. So presently there isn't a task deadline, but in the future there will be. Delivery deadline will apply for a make-to-order use case. So if you are having make-to-order products being pushed to production, this is where you'll find that information as it relates to the corresponding manufacturing order. We also have here the products that they're associated with, and also the operations that they're associated with, the planned time, and the assignments of the particular operators that they're related to. A lot of the really neat things that are here on the tasks view, and again, it really depends on what it is that you're doing as far as how you organize your manufacturing for your products. What some companies that are very process driven might do, they might have a specific day that's dedicated to cutting. So they take their resources, they go into their operational list here. Maybe you could have 3 table saws and you type in cutting procedure, and then it'll shortlist everything that you do. And then only at that period of time, if that's what you plan to do in your manufacturing operations for that day, you'll then choose to assign all of your tasks in bulk at that point in time. Now, when you assign those tasks in bulk, what that's actually doing is the moment that the assignment takes place, it becomes visible for your operators in the shop floor application. This is something that a lot of companies are using because it helps them, especially if they have like a quick turnaround or they schedule like in a short period of time in advance. If you want to, let's say, organize your efforts for your production like one day in advance or a couple of days in advance, then this is a really great way to do it, because instead of bombarding with your operators with all of the tasks that they have to do through the entire next quarter, for example, you can instead feed it to them in bite-sized pieces. So that way they know exactly what they have to do for that week, and then once they're done, they can sign off and go home, for example. So that's one way to kind of do it. You can bulk assign tasks from that perspective using filters. In some industries as well, you might be very products driven. So I've seen certain cases where companies that might manufacture cell phone cases would have a dedicated shape and particular model for which they're going to do, I don't know, some process to make the cell phone case. And then they would just strictly look at the products that need to be made for the manufacturing orders and then put it out based on that. So like, I want to make coffee tables this week. Then I could filter out my entire list of coffee tables at all resources and assign my tasks as I desire, and then break it down by cutting, do that this day, next one, assembly, etc., etc. So again, whatever your production line organization is set out to do, there's multiple ways of handling that. So moving away from the filters, here you'll see a status icon. And this status icon will have these 5 different types of statuses. What do the statuses mean? If something is not started, it means that it's waiting to be started. If it's in progress, that means that your operator has pressed the start option on that task and the timer is going. If it's paused, it means that it's not finished, but the operator has chosen the pause option, which stops the timer. They want to go take a cigarette break, for example. And then once they've restarted it, for example, they can choose completed. And once it's completed, the time is tracked as actual time, and that task drops off their to-do list. And of course, if it's blocked, then it means that nobody can actually take that task from the floor app. So you as a production planner would come in and block the production on a certain operation if you need to, and your operators will know, I won't touch that. It's not something that I'm allowed to do right now. But the program makes it possible to prevent them from doing it. You can also filter out by dates, for example. Like if I need to focus on all of the manufacturing orders that have this particular deadline in the next 3 days or 7 days, I can put all of my engineering effort on that, my manufacturing effort on that. Or as well as for make-to-order use cases, putting those tasks out first. So again, from a production planner side, just a quick recap. Organize your schedule. make your assignments based on whatever factors are most important for your needs, product-based, process-based, for example, and then assign your operators what they want that's visible to them, so that way they can do those manufacturing orders in the correct order as needed, and then change the rank in the schedule as needed. Alrighty then. When we're talking about assignments for your floor operators, then we can look at the resources section a little bit more detailed now that you kind of have a general overview of what the assignments look like. So at the moment, we're not using default operators as a methodology for assigning tasks. But if, for example, you want to reduce the workload and create automatic assignments, then this is really great, especially if you've got a lot of people on your team. So let's take a simple example here. Let's say we have a table saw and a paint booth. So there's a lot of things that happen in the paint booth. It could be painting or gluing or whatever. But the table saw requires a specialist, for example. Let's say Mark is our specialist for the table saw. We'll keep it simple for him. And for the paint booth, Mark is able to also do anything that's done at the paint booth workstation, but we also have someone else named Jill who can do stuff there too. But the difference is Jill can't do anything at the table saw. So she doesn't get access or visibility to any tasks that take place at that workstation. So, when you're running a floor team, you have the tendency to have people from different skill sets. You could have your newest employees doing general assembly, and you could have your most skilled employees who have been there for a long time, who started in assembly. They might be running the complex machines like the presses and everything else, or loading CAD programs into CNC cutters, for example. So you want to give them the ability to have access to everything, but maybe at the same time minimize it for your newer folks. So anyhow, let's go ahead and see how this example works. I'll pull up a second instance of the floor app and clean out Mark's, so that way I can show you how the relationships work when it comes to working in the floor app between multiple users. Okay, so now we're all set. We've got our default operators ready to go, and we've got two fresh, clean assignments for our floor operators. And on the make screen, when I make a manufacturing order, let's say I'll go ahead and make two of them. The first one will be for a table, a cognac table. And when this happens, it will automatically assign those tasks to those operators without me having to intervene. Now, the other ones which do not have default operators are currently blank, so I have to assign those manually. So you can have cases like that too, where there's like a combination of the few. So what's going on with this case is that now I see we have on our floor apps, we have Jill and we have Mark. And this is the tasks to do and the tasks to do. And you can see that this task here is for gluing, which is in the paint booth location. And then Mark has two tasks, one for cutting and then one for gluing in the paint booth location. Now, what's weird about these two tasks is that for the gluing process, it's for manufacturing order 8 and also manufacturing order number 8. It seems a bit silly that there would be two of them visible here, and you might be asking, well, why is that? The reason why is because in the event you're running a team and you want to use default operators, Jill and Mark might be working in different shifts, or Jill might be preoccupied with something else and Mark has time, he can come in and do it, so it becomes visible for him. So again, it's all about maintaining flexibility and also accommodating the situation that you might have. So if, for example, Mark isn't working, he's not going to be logged into the floor app, only Jill will. So if she sees the task, then she can go ahead and take it herself and start with it, but that doesn't require any manual assignments. Now, if somebody starts working on it, let's say that Jill takes it. She can open it up in the app like so and start the process. But when she starts the process, then the process will be indicated on Mark's tasks to-do list. Mark could then see that, oh, okay, well, Jill is presently working on that task. If Jill were, for example, to pause the task, then it will go into this red-orange kind of state. And Mark will still be able to see that it's assigned to Jill. And so if he's working in his application and they're working together, he can say, hey, Jill, I see that this task was paused. Is everything fine? I see you're working on it. He doesn't even have to ask her if she's working on it. She can also quit the task. If she quits the task, then it will make the task available to be taken by someone else. So for example, the task is now taken, and then it is possible for, let's say, Mark to pick up on it. Now, the other thing is with the default operator assignments to resources is that Jill can't even start the cutting process at the table saw because she simply doesn't get the assignments for the table saw. So it allows you to simply assign dedicated operators to dedicated resources where they're qualified to, let's say, run that machine, as an example. And therefore, Jill, on the other hand, will never even have to go near it. So now that we've got this part sorted out, I want to talk a little bit about how do the tasks relate to each other in terms of visibility and rank on the floor application. So as we've looked at the manufacturing queue and the tasks list, that whenever the manufacturing order itself jumps above and below, then the rank of the tasks also jumps above and below. So for example, when we're doing that with the shop floor application, then it does the exact same for the operators. So let's make one more manufacturing order for the same thing using our default operators. And then you're going to see exactly what I mean. Okay, so now everybody just got assigned a couple more tasks. Jill got one more and Mark got two more because by default that's what he has to do. And then when we have a look at the schedule, you'll see that we have manufacturing order 8 and manufacturing order number 9. And then you could see manufacturing order number 8 and 9 are here in the task list below. Now, whenever the rank is being adjusted up and down the list, then you'll start to see like how the relationship of the tasks are with each other. So for example, if manufacturing order number 8 is moved higher in the list, then you're going to see that manufacturing order number 8 is the first list of tasks that need to be done by Jill, and then manufacturing order number 8 tasks will be the first that have to be done by Mark. If manufacturing order number 9 goes higher in priority above number 8, then it will flip-flop. So manufacturing order number 9 is first, and manufacturing order number 8 is second. And so it's all about the real-time feedback mechanism that's happening within these different scheduled orders. All of them are based on the rank, and the tasks are based on the rank. Also, what's important to note is that the way that the order is filled out sequentially is also followed by the rank of the operations within the manufacturing order. So we have manufacturing order number 9. If you look into it more deeply, you'll see here that you must perform a cutting process before you can perform a gluing process. So cutting is first on this list, and then gluing is second in that same list. And then that's how that information flows within the whole entire sequential flow of those operations. So if I assign, let's say, the assembly process also to Mark, it will fall in between these two right here once it's in place. It may take a second to pop over, but it won't be too long otherwise. I'll do a quick refresh. And let's see here. Cutting gluing, assembly. Okay, so it does pop up. Might take a little time for the information to propagate, but I'm using multiple connections simultaneously, so it finally showed up and it works. So yeah, that's basically how it's intended to work. Once that is put in its place, it will then arrange to where it needs to be. So that way the team can do it in the right order. So next up, we're going to cover more details inside of the app as it relates to some of these additional operator settings and show you more specifically how those currently work.